Today we're going to compare 3 light strips that you can purchase right now, all of which that support the new smart home standard Matter. Let's go! Yo, what's up guys? My name is Shane and this channel is all about building an easy Apple home, smart home with new videos and live streams published every week. So at the time of this recording, Aqara is the latest company to release a Matter-supported light strip, the Aqara T1. I also have here the Govee M1 Matter light strip as well as the Nanoleaf Essentials Matter light strip. And while all these do support Matter, which is fantastic, there are some pretty big differences between the 3. So let's dive in and I'll break it all down for you so you can decide which might be the best Matter light strip for your smart home. First, let's send some love to today's sponsor, Trendmicro. I've been using their premium security suite for years on all of my devices to add some extra protection against malware, viruses, ransomware, and other threats. You can use it on up to 10 devices, including PCs, Macs, iPads, phones, pretty much anything, and it's very easy to use and set up. I love that it also includes a VPN that you can use to turn any public hotspot into a secure Wi-Fi connection. It also includes other tools like identity theft protection, parental controls, and even 24/7 emergency assistance. Check out the link in the description and use code SHANE10 for 10% off your purchase. Big thanks to Trendmicro for protecting all of my family's devices and for sponsoring today's video. First up, and probably most obvious, let's talk compatibility. Again, all 3 of these light strips do support Matter. Matter is the new smart home standard that aims to connect compatible devices and systems with one another. That does mean that all of these will work with Apple Home, Alexa, Google Home, or SmartThings. You can even use them with multiple ecosystems if you like, thanks to Matter. And if you are new to Matter or this whole smart home thing in general and want some more information on the subject, I'll link some past videos down below in the description on Matter that will give you more information about this new standard if interested. Next, let's talk connectivity. This is where we're going to start to see differences between these light strips because all 3 of them do use different wireless protocols to connect to your smart home. The Govee M1 connects via Wi-Fi, which means you'll add it directly to your Wi-Fi network. Nothing else is needed. Nanoleaf uses the Thread protocol. That means you will need a Thread board or router in your smart home to connect to. That could be a compatible Apple TV 4K, HomePod or HomePod Mini, Google Nest Hub, Amazon Echoes, Nanoleaf shapes or lines, so on and so forth. All these can act as Thread board routers for your home, allowing you to connect Thread devices like the Nanoleaf light strip. And lastly, the Aqara T1 connects via Zigbee and does require an Aqara hub. So there are a number of Aqara hubs available that you can pair this to, but in order to use the light strip with Matter, you will have to connect it to a Matter-enabled Aqara hub. Eventually, all the Aqara hubs will support Matter, but at the time of this recording, those do include the M1S hub, the M2 hub, the G3 camera hub, and the E1 hub. Also, a little side note, the Aqara light strip will also act as a repeater for your Zigbee network, which can be a good thing if you have additional Zigbee products, Zigbee Aqara products in your smart home. So to recap, the Govee M1 connects via Wi-Fi, Nanoleaf connects via Thread, and the Aqara T1 connects via Zigbee through an Aqara hub. Now all 3 include a physical controller. The Aqara and Govee controllers both have 3 buttons, a power button to turn it on and off, a button to cycle through the colors, and a button to cycle through music scenes. The Nanoleaf controller has a power button, a button to cycle colors, and brightness control. Now all 3 seem to be made, good quality, and each has kind of like a silicone protective coating on it. The Nanoleaf strip is certainly thicker and probably a little tougher to bend around corners and things like that. Something, just to keep in mind, may or may not make a difference. Now all 3 of these light strips do come in a 2-meter length. Nanoleaf does also sell a 5-meter version, which is essentially the 2-meter version with 3 1-meter extensions in the box. All 3 of these can be extended. Govee's can be extended to a maximum of 5 meters, and both the Aqara and Nanoleaf light strips can be extended to a maximum of 10 meters. All 3 offer 1-meter extensions sold separately. Now, what if you need to trim your light strip? Are they cuttable? Well, Govee actually says that theirs are not cuttable. I think honestly, you probably could cut these along the solder points like most light strips and they'd probably be fine. I don't know, do that at your own risk. Again, they do say that the M1 Matter light strip is not cuttable. The Aqara and Nanoleaf light strips, however, there are cut marks on the Aqara light strip every 20 centimeters, and the Nanoleaf has cut marks every 33 centimeters. So I think it's funny and kind of clever, really, that Aqara is advertising the T1 light strip as being reattachable. Basically, that means that if you cut the light strip, you can still use the part that was cut off by getting some third-party ribbon cables and connectors and things like that. This actually is something that pretty much all light strips can do, really. They just don't really advertise it for whatever reason, and most will actually say the opposite. They'll say that you can't reuse the part that's cut off. I don't know why, but I actually made a video a while back about customizing these types of, out of the box light strips by cutting them and then reconnecting them using those little connectors and stuff like that. I did this in my kitchen for running light strips under and above my cabinets. I'll put a link to that video down below in the description if you want to check it out. It shows how you can kind of cut and splice and reconnect these types of light strips pretty easily. The Aqara T1 light strip and the Nanoleaf light strip both have dedicated tunable white LEDs. Govee uses what they call a 4-in-1 RGBIC chip solution. Generally speaking, having dedicated LEDs for your whites is going to give you, more true whites. Both Aqara and Nanoleaf have the same range, 2700 to 6500 Kelvin. Govee states, I believe, a range of 2700 to 4000 Kelvin. So that's just kind of like the temperature range there of the whites. Now Nanoleaf certainly wins here with the brightest whites, both warm and cool. All 3 light strips support 16 million plus colors and all do a decent enough job. You can probably see on camera that the Nanoleaf colors are certainly the least bright. Aqara colors are good, but Govee certainly has the brightest, most saturated colors. Now all seem fairly true to color. Greens and blues both seem fine. I don't know how well you can see this on camera, but I did feel like the Nanoleaf had the best red though, even though it wasn't as bright as the others. Aqara was not bad, but the Govee red certainly felt a little bit more pink, I thought. I usually like to use yellow as a good test for color saturation. Here you can see Govee certainly wins. Govee has a whopping 60 LED beads per meter, which is at least twice as much per meter as the other two. And this really helps give it such a nice saturated color that really looks good shining on a wall or something like that. Again, for those warm and cool whites, Nanoleaf certainly wins for brightness. When it comes to color brightness though, I'd probably have to give this to Govee, and that's simply because there are so many LEDs packed in there per meter. The actual brightness of the colored LEDs really seem pretty similar, honestly, to my naked eye, but with twice as many LEDs per meter, it's going to give off much more colored light than the others. I'd put Aqara at a close second in terms of color brightness and Nanoleaf last here. Now speaking of colors, both the Govee M1 and the Aqara T1, what's with these names, by the way? T1, M1, anyways, the Govee and the Aqara light strips both support individually addressable LEDs. So that means that different portions of the light strip can shine different colors at the same time. The Nanoleaf strip is not individually addressable. That means it can only reflect one color at a time across the entire light strip. If you're into cool effects and music modes and stuff like that, you'll definitely want a strip with individually addressable LEDs. All 3 light strips can do effects through their own apps, but again, the Aqara and Govee effects will be much more dynamic and really just more cool, frankly, because they are individually addressable. I'd say Govee definitely has the coolest effects right now. The Aqara effects are cool too, but Govee just has so many, cool, fun names and things like that for the effects in the Govee app. Stay tuned because soon we're going to talk about the Apple Home integration of these scenes and stuff like that. here in just a minute. The Nanoleaf light strip does not support music modes, while the Aqara and the Govee light strips do. Both of these have a built-in microphone on the controller that can be used, so there's no need to like use your phone or an app or anything like that to utilize the music mode scenes. In terms of reliability, all these have been quite reliable for me. Typically I'd say that Zigbee and Thread connections are going to be the fastest, but Govee using the Wi-Fi connection here is certainly not slow by any means. This may just come down to which protocol preference you prefer, Thread versus Zigbee, Wi-Fi, hubs, and that kind of thing. That probably just comes down to you. Again, Thread and Zigbee are usually going to be the fastest and are quite reliable. So some additional settings to cover real quick. Aqara gives you the ability to specify the power off memory. So this is really nice if you've ever lost power in the middle of the night, and then once it's restored, half of your smart lights turn on at full brightness, while sleeping. It's a great way to piss off the wife and the rest of the family, having all those lights turn on in the middle of the night. Aqara also lets you set the on-off dimming duration, which is pretty cool. If you like a nice dimming effect, either on or off, this can be set up to 30 seconds. You can also even specify the dimming range on the Aqara T1 if you want. So you have some extra little, settings there with the Aqara T1. Lastly, I do want to talk real quick about the Apple Home integration and features. Then I'll give you my final take on all of these. Now, unfortunately, Matter does not currently support adaptive lighting, so none of these light strips will support adaptive lighting in the Apple Home app through Matter. That said, the Aqara light strip does actually support adaptive lighting in HomeKit, but not with Matter. So this will only work if the light strip is paired to an Aqara hub without Matter support. Kind of confusing, I know. Remember, the T1 light strip does need to be paired to an Aqara Zigbee hub. So if your Aqara hub is bound to Matter, then your light strip will not support adaptive lighting. If your light strip is paired to an Aqara hub that is not bound to Matter, then it will support adaptive lighting in HomeKit. Now, this video is all about Matter light strips, so maybe that sort of doesn't count, but I did want to point that out because I know a lot of Apple Home users really enjoy that adaptive lighting feature. It would also be great if we could access those cool lighting effects and music modes and things like that in HomeKit, wouldn't it? Well, Aqara has kind of taken a similar approach here. Bear with me and hear me out on this. Again, this is a little bit confusing, but I do just want to give you all the information. So Aqara does give you the ability to export scenes over from the Aqara app to the Apple Home app, which is awesome. So this can include all of those T1 effects and music modes and stuff like that, but an Aqara hub that is not bound to Matter is required in your setup. So your T1 light strip can be paired to a Matter hub, and this will still work as long as you have a non-Matter hub still in your setup. For example, my Aqara T1 light strip is connected to Matter through an Aqara M2 hub, but I can use one of my other hubs for exporting those scenes from the Aqara app over to the Apple Home app. Again, I hope that makes sense. Unfortunately, Nanoleaf, who has always been really great at syncing those effects from the Nanoleaf app over to the Apple Home app, this does not work with the Essentials Matter light strips. Hopefully one day we'll be able to do that and get those Nanoleaf scenes and effects over into Apple Home like it is with the other Nanoleaf accessories, but right now it doesn't seem possible. And Govee simply doesn't support this. You'll have to use the Govee app to access and change all of those, lighting effects and stuff like that. The Govee M1 light strip will cost you $59.99 US. The Nanoleaf Essentials light strip will cost you $49.99. And the Aqara T1 light strip will cost you $49.99 also. So, final thoughts, which should you buy? Which one is the best? Well, that kind of depends really. If your primary need is bright functional lighting, white lighting, then I'd say Nanoleaf all day. The whites on that thing are just fantastic, by far the brightest of the three. And the Nanoleaf does use the Thread protocol, which I like. But for colors, it's not the best option. Again, not being individually addressable and not having the brightest colors, I'd probably look at one of the others, if color and effects, music modes and stuff like that is important to you. For the absolute best colors, I'd probably have to give that to Govee. With so many LEDs, the M1 just gives off some really nice saturated colors. The Govee app also has the best effects, in my opinion, if that's something you're into. Now, Govee does connect over Wi-Fi, which is fine in my opinion for a light strip here and there, but some may see that as a negative. And then again with Aqara, they do require the Aqara hub, which is certainly a downside if you're not already into, you know, the Aqara ecosystem. But it does use Zigbee, which is very responsive and reliable. And so with that said, if you already have one of the Aqara hubs or have been considering getting one, then I do think the T1 is a great option. It has really good tunable whites, but also still has very good colors. It will act as a repeater for your Aqara Zigbee network, which could be good, you know, if you have other Aqara sensors and products in your home. And you know, my favorite thing about the T1 is that I can integrate all of my effects into my Apple Home scenes and automations. Of course, you know, again, that caveat there is that you do need an Aqara hub that's not bound to Matter in order to do that. But having the ability to do that if you want to is really great. So I guess the answer to which one should you buy, unfortunately, does come down to everyone's favorite answer. It depends. It really does depend on what's important to you and, you know, your current setup, what protocols you prefer, what features you prefer. I hope this video did help bring some clarity to that and help you determine which one would be the best option for your smart home. If you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. If you want to check out more videos about Matter and, you know, Matter supported products, check out this playlist that I put together right over here. Thanks again to Trendmicro for sponsoring today's video. Again, use that discount code below for 10% off your purchase of the Premium Security Suite. Thanks so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next video.